While Donald Trump tries to distract us with talk of TikTok, he's setting up the big con. And it's all about the upcoming election. Let's talk about that, because justice matters. Hey all, Glenn Kirshner here. So we're all watching another episode of the Donald Trump Show, and once again, it's distraction time. Donald Trump is now telling us that he's going to ban TikTok, right? We first heard about it when Josh Letterman, the reporter, tweeted out, Trump tells reporters aboard Air Force One he is banning TikTok. Now we have been occupied over the course of several news cycles with questions about, can he ban TikTok or can he not? Can he make China divest its ownership interest in TikTok? You know, I suggest we should spend less time worrying about what Donald Trump will or will not do regarding TikTok. Well, assuming we can still get our Sarah Cooper fix on one of the other platforms, just kidding. But we should spend more time remaining laser focused on what is most important. That is the security of our upcoming elections. Donald Trump is a con man. He's a shyster, he's a fraud, and he's pretty good at fooling the gullible. But he's tried to get us all now talking about TikTok and what will happen with TikTok while he's setting up the big con. Hopefully this will be his last con, but with Donald Trump, you never know. But the big con involves the upcoming election. So it goes something like this. Donald Trump is claiming incessantly via tweet and in interviews and through his surrogates that voting by mail will be so fraught with fraud and foreign interference that our election results will not be reliable. Let's take a look at the big con and then try to take it apart. First of all, Donald Trump started sending tweets out attacking the notion of voting by mail. He said things like, mail-in voting is already proving to be a catastrophic disaster. Even testing areas are way off. The Dems talk of foreign interference in voting, but they know that mail-in voting is an easy way for foreign countries to enter the race. Even beyond that, there's no accurate count. And he sends other tweets out. Mail-in voting will lead to rigged election, and mail-in voting will lead to the most inaccurate and fraudulent election in history. So then Donald Trump begins to send his surrogates out, his flunkies. So let's see what old Billy Barr said about the prospect of foreign interference if we are to allow mail-in voting in the upcoming election. And then let's talk on the other side of this clip.
But I don't want to be too political. Do you believe, as the Attorney General of the United States, that mail-in voting will lead to massive voter fraud?
I think there's a high risk that it will.
So old Billy Barr falls right in line, doesn't he? He's also been quoted in recent days as saying that, well, it's only common sense that foreign countries will try to counterfeit our mail-in ballots. Only common sense. Why has Donald Trump started on this recent tear, incessantly trying to convince us that, you know, if we do this whole vote by mail thing, it will be rife with fraud and foreign interference? Here's something to consider. Who is Donald Trump's best phone buddy? Vladimir Putin. And what have we learned over the course of the past couple of years? Well, Donald Trump will talk to Vladimir Putin on the phone, and the next thing you know, Donald Trump unilaterally and apparently without consulting with our own military authorities or intelligence authorities, he will order troops out of Syria to put the Kurds in harm's way. Donald Trump will talk to Vladimir Putin, and the next thing you know, unilaterally, he will announce he wants Russia back in the G7. Let's make it an even G8. Donald Trump will talk to Vladimir Putin, and the next thing you know, he's announcing, I want troops out of Germany. Donald Trump will talk to Vladimir Putin, and he will immediately thereafter start on this tear that voting by mail is rife with fraud and foreign interference. So follow the con. What happens next? The Democrats have to marshal the evidence, the facts, and the data to put the lie to Donald Trump's claim that voting by mail is full of fraud and is unreliable, right? So we hear about how in the US we've been voting absentee ballots since the Civil War. We hear that statistically, over the course of the billions of ballots that have been cast in the United States, actual incidents of fraudulent voting by mail have occurred in 0.00006% of the ballots cast. We hear things like, you're far more likely to get stung by killer bees and bitten by a rattlesnake and struck by lightning simultaneously than come across an actual instance of fraudulent voting by mail. So the Dems have to vouch for the sanctity, security, and reliability of voting by mail. But what do we think will happen next, folks? What's the next step in the big con? I predict that one of probably multiple October surprises coming from the Republicans will be Donald Trump's clown posse, right? The Jim Jordans and the Louis Gohmerts and the Matt Gaetz will claim to have found instances of foreign interference in our vote by mail processes. It will probably even come complete with props, right? I'll bet you'll see the Jim Jordans of the world start to parade things like this in front of us, right? Envelopes that are supposed proof of foreign interference. American ballot, presidential election to vote for Joe Biden. And of course, where will something like this really come from? Will it come from Russia with love? My prop department, that's the best we could do. Of course, this is my prop department. But seriously, there will probably be evidence of foreign interference in our voting by mail, but it will be the product of that nonsense. It will be more fraudulent, conspiratorial coordination, sweeping in systematically with Russia to make it seem like we can't rely on voting by mail, right? The whole thing will be part of the con. This will be another part of, hey, Russia, if you're listening, find the emails. Hey, China, if you're listening, investigate the Bidens. Hey, Russia, I've been telling everybody, like a good little president, that there will be massive foreign interference in our voting by mail processes. So can you help a president out? It's another big con, folks. Donald Trump's incessant claim that voting by mail is fraught with foreign interference is another big con. They'll try to give the illusion of foreign interference, probably come October. Don't fall for it. Don't fall for any of it. Let's make this Donald Trump's last big con. And the way we do that, folks, you already know, is we vote by mail in huge numbers. We get to the polls in enormous numbers, numbers too big to rig. And I've been saying it, get to the polls, get your families to the polls, get your friends to the polls, get your neighbors to the polls. Find strangers who need rides to the polls, because by the time you arrive at the polls, you've made new friends. This is yet another transparent con by a man who is nothing but a fraud and a shyster, a fake and a phony. And we need to put an end to the presidency of Donald Trump. And we will, folks. We will. Please stay safe. I look forward to talking to you all again soon.